listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello, peace family. Welcome to another full edition of the Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast is the home of original people, peace, original people, reciprocity, and original people culture. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. I'm your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome all my narrators. So, here we are this weekend with another full edition of the Narrative Podcast. Whole lot going on in these streets. I'm just try to keep it very brief, or keep it real brief today. There's a whole lot of stuff to talk about, but I limited my topics today because there's just so much going on. The closer we're getting to these elections, but before I dive into the content, as always, my narrators, they know I give you a brief synopsis of the Narrative Podcast before diving into the content. And, today is no different. I'll give you a brief walkthrough of my content for the new listeners and just tell you, all the nuances about the Narrative Podcast. But first, before diving into the content or even getting to the synopsis, I want to just pause for the cause right quick and take a brief moment of silence. We just lost a brother recently, ex-football player, actor. Yes, we want to take a quick pause for the cause to, send love, light, and healing energy to the family, friends, and associate of our brother that just passed on, Carl Weathers. He passed away on February 1st, which was a Thursday. And if you all know, you was with me here on the Narrative Podcast for the, for my weekday broadcast. I didn't announce his death because there was no information. It hadn't been confirmed yet. So he passed away on Thursday, but it wasn't officially confirmed until Friday. And today is Saturday, so I broadcast two times a week, once during the weekday, once on the weekend. So, at the time of my broadcast, I didn't have all the details. So I didn't want to say anything until it had been officially confirmed. It has been officially confirmed. He is no longer with us. The brother was extremely talented athlete and a gifted actor. I don't know, what is it with football players? It seems like all the ex-football players, after they, retire from football, they go on into being actors. Like they're all, pretty much every football player becomes an actor. So I don't know what the trade secret about that is, but the football players transition into some amazing acting roles. But this brother was more than an exception. 76 years young. The family said he died peacefully in his sleep. So there was no, foul play. Definitely led a clean, healthy life. He exercised well over an hour a day and stayed in top peak physical shape. So, when it's your time, it's just your time. Like, it doesn't matter like your diet and how much you exercise. When it's just time for you to go, it's time for you to go. But anyway, I want to send that brother up properly here on the Narrative Podcast, and give a moment of silence before, walking you through the synopsis of the Narrative Podcast and diving into the content today. All right. Rest well, brother, and send Narrative Podcast, sending deepest condolences to the Weathers family, friends, family, associates, and colleagues. Everybody that knew him in life, worked beside him. He will be missed, and he was very influential within our communities. Like, so many impactful roles as an actor, and accomplished so much as an athlete as well. So we have that good, positive self-image of a masculine brother. Like, he will be missed. So yeah. All right. So like I said, I'm about to walk you through the synopsis for the Narrative Podcast before diving into the content today. So first of all, let's start with the name, the Narrative Podcast. I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast because I don't like the false narrative that the media perpetuates about our people and our culture. By our culture, I mean original people and original culture, aka black people, black culture. I get to why I refer to our people as original people a little bit later on in the breakdown. So what I want to do is design a platform where I'm highlighting our successes and congratulating all our accomplishments, and putting out positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. That's entirely what the Narrative Podcast is all about. I'm just here occupying this space to, utilize it to uplift and edify our people, and to encourage anyone that listens to my podcast to do the exact same. You bring awareness to why it's important to put out positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, and encourage everyone else to do the same as well. That's what the Narrative Podcast is all about. So having said that, go through a couple more misnomers. First, I call my listening audience my narrators. And the purpose of me doing that is because, acknowledging the day and age we live in. We live in the information age, and, information is vastly shared online. Not only that, that's how information is collected online. This is how pretty much all these Fortune 500 companies do business, And as a society, we identify who we want to associate with online. Basically your presence online is your carbon footprint in life. So like whatever you're posting online correlates as a representation of you. So it's kind of unfair, but people kind of associate you with you as an individual person by whatever you're posting online. you know, like your hobbies, your interests, your beliefs and value systems, all this is, you know, correlated with, you know, whatever you're posting online. And so, as I stated, we already have got a negative image of us imagined and perpetuated by the media. And like that's how people outside of our culture have to go on us about. That's how they judge us. You know, all these negative images is in movies, television, literature, and all controlled and manipulated by the media. So, while we cannot control the perception of people outside of our culture, we can't control how they perceive us, what they think about us, and how they engage us and react to us. What we can control is our own. We can't control our own space, our own media platforms. Meaning we can control, tell, or narrate our own stories online. Just simply, we can control our content. We can't control everybody else's content, you know, what they want to talk about, how they, you know, use our images and our likenesses, but we can control how we use our images and our likenesses to tell our stories. And that's why I call my target listening audience my narrators. And I think that's a perfect segue to my tagline, the Narrative Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes about our people and our culture? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. Hence the title, The Narrative Podcast. So, you know, it's all relative here. Like I said, this is a positive space. I'm dedicated to just uplifting and edifying our people. This is a gossip-free zone. I don't slander, name call, tear down our people. We get enough of that from, you know, every other source imaginable. The last thing we want to do is, you know, join into the fray and, you know, tearing down a brother or sister like we've been programmed and conditioned to do that by the powers that be. So I don't want to do that here on my platform. Speaking of the powers that be, another little, it's relative to my platform, but I just have to put this out before going on down more bulleted points about my platform. Although the media has a, you know, wicked, evil agenda in reference to our people, you know, at the end of the day, it's a business, it's supply and demand. And the business, the most lucrative business as it relates to our people is the business of degeneracy. It's like, you know, the media pumps out like $1 billion of merchandise and content, you know, looped around degeneracy for our people. And we feed the machine by playing into it by regurgitating these negative stereotypes and stigmas placed over our people by the powers that be. Because, you know, it's a business. The first rule of business is supply and demand. So we're creating the demand for degeneracy by accepting these negative stereotypes and stigmas. We're accepting it by just, going along with the programming, tuning into these television shows, listening to that music that negatively depicts us, depicts our images and our likenesses. So if we keep supporting it, they will keep on continuing to create it. So, by posting positive content, it's not the end-all, be-all solution, but it is a solution. So, that's my sole focus on this podcast, is to open people's eyes to see the importance of that, sharing positive content about our people and our culture. Some more misnomers about the Narrative Podcast. Is a time-sensitive platform. I try not to, exceed 1 hour per broadcast. The purpose of me doing that is so, I keep the listening audience attentive to what I have to say, and I can address multiple topics in a fairly short amount of time. Because the quickest way to lose the listening audience, this is an all audio platform, is to bore you to sleep. And, you bore you to sleep with no format, just talking and talking and talking. So on here, my content, I've divvied it up into sections. Each section has a speaking point, and I try to time each section. I try not to exceed so many minutes per section that I talk about on my podcast, if that makes sense. So to keep you engaged, keep you entertained, and put out positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And I'll probably just explain each section as I come to them, give you a breakdown about, what each section is about. I also encourage entrepreneurship, doing for self, promote original people owned and operated businesses. That's the cornerstone of the Narrative Podcast, is supporting our own and speaking positively of our own. So I guess I get pretty much covered all my bases. One last thing, I refer to our people as original people versus black. And the purpose of me doing that is because, we were and are the original beings on this planet. We was here thousands of years before any other civilization. And contrary to all unpopular belief, we weren't Neanderthals. We didn't have cranial overbites. We didn't have a sloping posture. We was fully sentient, standing up fully erect, forming complete sentences, building things with highly advanced tools. We wasn't dwelling in caves, writing on walls. We wasn't covered in excessive body hair. That was somebody else. It wasn't us. So that's one reason why I refer to our people as original people, because it's just historically accurate. And contrary to all unpopular belief, we inhabited every single corner of the globe before slavery, because another false narrative that, history puts out about our people, like our existence started with slavery. So while slavery did happen, it was a very real thing and a very brutal thing, but, we just didn't get to all these other places via, the transatlantic slave trade and on slave boats. We was already originally existing in pretty much every corner of the globe, even the North Pole and the South Pole. We was in all over the continent of Asia. We was already like in the Mediterranean, in Italy, like in Ireland. You know, we definitely was in every single Spanish-speaking nation already located there. We was everywhere, all in the islands, Hawaii, you know, Australia, you know, Europe, UK, everywhere. Our existence, and we didn't get there on slave boats. This is just something that they just keep on trying to pummel us with, and, you know, exaggerating our involvement in the slave trade. We didn't participate in the slave trade. I mean, we did, but the time that we did wasn't hundreds of years. It was like about a few tribes that lost their way, like 5 years at most. It wasn't like spanning hundreds of years. For the most part, we had prisoners of war, because we did, like all, you know, beings on this planet, they waged war upon each other. We were no different. We had prisoners of war and we had indentured servants for the most part. But so there was a expiration date of their servitude, that, you know, they would eventually be set free after they fulfilled whatever quotas. But another reason why I call refer to our people as original people is for unity. It's like I said, you know, we originally inhabited every single corner of the globe. We all hail from different land masses, speak different languages, have different, you know, value systems, political views, you know, religious and spiritual practices. But the one thing that we all have in common, we can all trace our lineage back to the original point of origin for all civilization. So that's why I refer to our people as original people and encourage all my listeners to do the same, because it's just the most accurate description of us as a people. But if you want to call yourself black, then go right on ahead. That's, you know, your business. If you want to refer to yourself as black, go right on ahead and do that. I'm just saying, on the Narrator podcast, I try to, you know, refer to our people as original people as often as possible. One last thing before diving into the content. Like I said, this is a you know, positive space for our people. I try not to denigrate or, you know, tear down our people in any way or form. Basically, I don't try to denigrate anybody, but if I ever bring up a famous person's name, it's really just to illustrate a point that I'm trying to make. And everything that I talk about on this podcast is basically from the why perspective. Because, like, you know, society has the weird way of always trying to tell our people to do better, do better, do better. The people that have literally had everything done to them, had everything taken away from them. But every time, you know, something happens, we have to do better. So, you know, everything I talk about here on this platform, I'm covering it from the scope of why did this happen, when negative things happen within our community. And when I'm talking about current events, like, you know, if it just happens to involve a famous person, It's never to talk about the famous person within our community. It's not the clout chase. It's not to bash or denigrate them. This is just setting up an example to show you, from the systemic perspective of why whatever XYZ scenario happened. Yeah, that's about it. I think I covered everything. I'm a little over 300 episodes in, so if I forgot to say something, you got all kinds of episodes to catch up on to get a feel for the Narrative Podcast. But without any further ado, I'm going to dive into the content today here on the Narrative Podcast with my very first section. So my narrators, new year, new me. I've changed my format slightly. I found out a more efficient way to present my content. So I'm starting first today with the highlights section of the Narrative Podcast. The highlights section of the Narrative Podcast, the reason why I do that, I'm highlighting original people that own and operate their own businesses. And the purpose of me doing that is to provide the listening audience with a positive frame of reference about doing for self or entrepreneurialism. Because like I said, the media goes out of their way to tarnish our self-images by, making us appear degenerate in nature, twisting and manipulating the narrative, especially on these scripted reality television shows. We have a very limited amount, limited frames of reference about, successful people within our community. Because on these scripted reality television shows, they just depict us acting the fool, fighting, and engaging in degeneracy, some lewd, crude behavior, exposing our nudity, fighting each other on camera, relating to each other on camera, indulging in, drugs and alcohol on camera, stabbing each other in the back, lying on each other. So the independent part gets drowned out and the degeneracy gets pushed towards the front. Because most of these people on these scripted reality television shows are highly successful people from our community. They're earning 5 to 6 figures or better, have several businesses under their umbrella, but all we see, we see in the scripted reality television is just the messiness. So here on my platform, in the highlight section, what I'm doing is walking you through an entrepreneur's journey, giving you the highlights of success. How they came up with their brand, how they, overcame adversities, the year they established it, how they came up with the idea. So, it's all positive. Some other qualifying factors of the people that I highlight in the highlight section, of course, they're brothers and sisters from our community. But in addition to that, they give back to the community to some capacity. They do some type of community outreach or activism. They either have their own nonprofit organization, or they pay into one, do some type of charity, some type of giving back to the community, or hiring their own, people to live in the community, or, doing something for our children, the elderly, something charitable. And then many of these people that I highlight in this highlight section that don't have an extensive amount of, education in whatever field that they, whatever business that they decide to open. Many of them do it just off of trial and error. And then a whole lot of them are family owned and operated. And so in that scenario, I will be giving you a positive frame of reference about generational wealth and family structure. So, the last qualifying factor, it aligns up with my theme. And my theme, I do seasons. So right now we're in winter. So, their business has to line up with the season of winter some type of way. I think you get the gist of what the highlight section is all about. So without any further ado, diving on into the highlight section here on the Narrative Podcast. So like I said, it is the season of winter. And when I get stuck for topics, sometimes I just look on the calendar and say, what is it the national day of? And then I go find some businesses that, specialize in whatever the national day is. So today is February 3rd, which is National Carrot Cake Day. So the businesses I will be highlighting today here on the Narrative Podcast are businesses that specialize in selling carrot cake. So up first, the first business I'll be highlighting on the Narrative Podcast is a business called Kyle's Food Finds. Now, there's something super duper unique and extraordinary about this particular business. It is located in Japan. Now, like I said, from when I opened up, we are the original people. There's no corner of the globe we didn't originally inhabit. If you joined me last week, I talked about a brother by the name of Bodhi Hamaro. I was mispronouncing his name. I said Bodhi Hammer, but this brother basically invented martial arts, coming all the way back from the motherland. So just saying it's not all the way out of the realm of possibility for a brother to have a business overseas. But yes, Kyle's Food Finds is in Japan. He established it in 1985. The address is kylesfoodfinds.net. And then if you want specific information, you can message him at kylesfoodfinds@world.net, world.ne.jp. And word of caution, his entire menu, it's all in Japanese. You got vibrant pictures, so like to order something, you would probably have to use like Google Translate to translate the menu. But he specializes in carrot cakes. He sells all kind of other confectionaries as well, but his staple is carrot cake. That's his most requested item. He also sells, some traditional Japanese stuff. The bento boxes is big over there, so he'll do those, and Japanese milk bread, but he tries to stay traditionally to American uh, confectionery treats. So his trek is a little, it's kind of complex. So I'm giving you guys the streamlined version to, keep true to my imaginary time limit that I set for myself to not exceed my broadcast 1 hour. So I'm gonna just give you the highlights of his journey to becoming an entrepreneur in the highlight section of the Narrative Podcast. So first of all, Kyle, the man's name is Kyle Sexton, the proprietor of Kyle's Food Finds in Japan. And he was his family is originally from the islands. They was living in Pennsylvania, and I'm guessing either, Caribbean, he's of Caribbean descent. He was originally from Pennsylvania, then they moved to, at some point in time, New York. And while in New York City, he became obsessed with Asian culture. He dated, he said the majority of all his friends were Asian growing up in the neighborhood of New York that he lived in. That makes perfect sense because there's like a little everything in New York. So there's a little Asia, there's like a little Japan, a little China, a little everything, a little Italy. So that makes perfect sense. To each their own. He for some odd reason he was attracted to, Japanese women. Just said all that to make it make sense of how he ended up in Japan. So he became obsessed with Japanese culture, not only from dating a Japanese woman in high school, but he said, he fell in love with the culture the first time he tried sushi. Went to probably like Little Japan or Little Tokyo in New York City, and he had some, he had a sushi platter, and from that point on, he decided, he's going to go over there. That was his life goal, to move to Japan. And so that's essentially what he did. He went to Japan after he graduated high school. He went to Japan with $300 US. He was already working in the US for some company. It didn't say in the article, and he didn't say what company he was working for in the US, but apparently it must have been highly successful. Because they had some type of affiliate program or something. Longer story short, after he exhausted his funds, he was broke. He was worried about getting deported. Some type of way, I guess, like a 401k plan or something, how he explained it in the interview. He had well over $1,000 from this little I guess exchange program from the company that he's working for at the time. And so that he survived off that for a little while longer. He didn't have to go back. He thought he was going to have to go back. So while over, after he got the new money to sustain himself from the previous company that he was employed with from the U.S., he began work as a teacher, like many people do, teaching English. So he became an English teacher, taught himself to do that. He said he didn't go to college. He didn't have a teacher's degree or anything like that. He just started teaching English, seen a help wanted sign, and basically got the job to be an English teacher. From there, something I glazed over. He had already, the language he wasn't in culture shock when he went over there. Like I said, he dated a Japanese woman in high school, and so he spoke moderate. He wasn't fluent, but enough of Japanese he picked up. Before he moved over there, he picked up enough Japanese to, be a productive citizen, like know how to read signs and know what people was talking about. So he wasn't fluent, but he knew enough. And this was the 80s, mind you. So that was probably why it's so possible we got all these little things to distract us. But when you wanted to, in the analog era, you could hyper focus. You didn't have all these little distractions. So he basically taught himself Japanese. So he also, that was his hobby, baking. His carrot cake recipe was, he got it from cookbooks. So he didn't have a family recipe. He said he would just cook on his spare time and then take his baked goods to school and share with his colleagues. And they liked it so much, they would always request the carrot cake. Became his most requested item. So eventually, at some point, he just started selling the carrot cake. Now, where the story takes a twist is, in addition to teaching, he participated in this program called Jafia. And Jafia is just basically like a cultural exchange program at the school that he was teaching. And what they do is just kind of basically swap cultures, American culture, and then to learn American culture, they learn different cultures. Anyway, so Jafia, I didn't write the acronym for that. You can do your own due diligence on that. Basically, funded, his bake shop. He wanted to do it full time. They already saw his skills, sharing his work. So that organization, along with some of his close friends, footed him the rest of it. And Kyle's Food Finds was born. And right now he's a solo operation, but he does have children. It's like just a quaint little spot. He's not, a certified baker, so you're not going to see all that fancy Food Network type of stuff. He doesn't have, piping skills. So no fancy borders on his cakes. It's just everything is handmade to order, fresh ingredients, freshest ingredients, because it's right over there in Japan. So they don't have all the harmful stuff that we have here in the States. So freshest, highest quality ingredients, all natural, no GMO, organic, coming straight from the earth. So he got that going on. That's, how he controls the quality of everything he bakes. And the reason why I share this story for the highlight section is because, it checked pretty much all the boxes, trial and error, owned and operated by original man. So he taught himself so much in such a short amount of time. He taught himself how to be a teacher. He taught himself how to bake. He didn't go to culinary arts school. He just literally going to the library, getting baking books and baking stuff from the recipes that he found in books and magazines. So, like I said, I gave you the streamlined version. There's really nothing more to his story other than what I just told you. So definitely go support this brother. You can go online if you want to. Like if you want to go to Japan to his store, you can, go to Google Maps and see where it's located. I did forget to give out the number, so it's 033385 899, I believe, 13. So like super duper long number. It's Japan. If you got international calling, you can call him. He speaks English. So like he would be the one answering the phone. So yes, like I think his oldest is like he just recently had a child. I think his oldest is like 8 or 9. So that's who he said he had children. So I don't know their ages, but I can see his oldest taking over the business. That was an accident. I didn't mean to hit the laugh button, but so that's generational wealth. Triumphed in the face of adversity, overcame the odds. But one little nugget I do want to interject in his story is like, if you're contemplating leaving the United States, it's not such a bad idea, especially on the continent of Asia. Like, they live a minimalist lifestyle. It's all about efficiency over there. I follow a whole lot of social media influencers and I watch like vlogs and stuff. There's like tons of people, living in China, living in Japan, living in Thailand, living in Korea. It's not, super duper far-fetched. And the money they save living there, they become millionaires. Like, I follow this young lady. She got a vlog. She's a sister. She's living in Thailand. I don't have her, I didn't take her handle down, her social media handle down, but she shares, in addition to, living in Thailand, she's a millionaire several times over. She comes to the States on a private jet when she wants to leave home. But she says over there in her blog that her rent she pays is like $400 a month, all the utilities paid, spacious view, grows her own food, like beautiful garden, everything's dirt cheap over there. Like that coupled with, her social media content. She's like a millionaire several times over, and she had to go all the way to like Thailand to do it. So like, just saying, like that's an option if you ever if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. It might just be time for you to get up and just leave America. And I've highly been contemplating it, like, going off the grid living. Like, you don't have to go over to continent Asia, you can go to the motherland. There's several brothers and sisters that go back home to, like, like them folks is always telling you don't like it here, on back to Africa. But there's like several people that, left the States and doing just fine. Now, what I haven't really seen is a whole lot of Pan-African. Like on social media, they say they Pan-African, but they don't never show their estate over in Africa. I've seen only one like super duper wealthy person in Africa, and that's A Bay Area rapper by the name of JT, the Bigger Figure. He got an estate over in Africa, but to be fair, he was wealthy before he moved over there. He already had like millions in the US. But he said it's like super sweet over there. So I got kind of long-winded. The point I was just trying to make, it's not far-fetched to be for us to be in a different country and be successful. But enough of that. Let's give our brother Kyle Sexton of Kyle's Food Finds a Warm Narrative podcast round of applause. All right, moving right along. Next business I'll be highlighting in the highlight section is Lloyd's Carrot Cake. And Lloyd's is, critically acclaimed for their carrot cake. So go to lloydscarrotcake.com. It was established in, they got 2 locations. The original one was established in 1986. On East Harlem. That's their infamous location. But here's one in the Bronx. 6087 Broadway, Bronx, New York. 1047 is their Bronx location. Telephone number 718-548-9020. And then their East Harlem location is 1553 Lexington Avenue, New York, 10029. Telephone number 212-831-9156. And like I said, I think that was the original location that they started out with. So the proprietor's name is Lloyd Adams. He passed away in 2007, and then after he passed away, his wife Alice stepped up, and she passed away in 112. So basically, he started this business. He is an immigrant. His family is from the island of St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. They migrated to, of course, New York sometime in the late 60s. But he was born and raised in New York. His recipe is from his grandmother, her carrot cake recipe. He had humble beginnings. He started baking, and he also did not go to a culinary arts school. His carrot cake, award-winning carrot cake, came from his grandmother's recipe. It was a family recipe that was passed down to him, and he started baking. And eventually, everybody, he would share his, cakes with people in the neighborhood. And, basically they told him he had that fire. And then started just doing pop-ups. He got approached to, just franchise his recipe out, but he didn't want to. He wanted to just sell it on his own. So his first official big break, he used to supply another legendary restaurant, award-winning restaurant that went on to become infamous within our culture. Sylvia's in Harlem, New York. He used to, those was his carrot cake. So if you patronize Sylvia's and ever had the carrot cake, it was from Lloyd. So that was his first restaurant he was sold to, but he went on to go sell on to more restaurants after they caught wind of how good his carrot cakes was. And then eventually he got the capital to open his first brick and mortar in Harlem in '86. And then of course he branched out to the Bronx. So like it's a tradition in Harlem, like, lines form around the corner to buy their carrot cake. So while Lloyd is no longer with us, this is a story of generational wealth, because now his offspring run it. Lika, along with her brother Brandon Adams, they are the proprietors of, Lloyd's carrot cake. So they're carrying on their father's legacy, employing people from their family and from the neighborhood. So they check all the boxes for the highlight section. And that story was just super simple and to the point. Without any further ado, let's clap it up for the Adams family, Lika and Brandon carrying on their father's legacy at Lloyd's Carrot Cake. All right, moving right along. Next section here on the Narrative Podcast is the Spotlight section. In the Spotlight section, this section is dedicated to spotlighting a prominent figure within our community that's, doing work in our community, such as like advocating or being an activist for our rights and our beliefs and our values, representing our people in our community in a positive way, either through, some type of charitable work or just, the way they utilize their platform to represent us, speak on our issues, or just visually be a good visual representation of us. And in the past, I used to only just spotlight celebrities, entertainers, people in the fields of acting, athletes, comedians, actors, actresses, recording artists, social media influencers, things of that nature. Since then, I've tried to move forward from that and highlight just regular people, because I want to break the negative stereotype of people believing, all we know how to do as a people is just entertain. So, I want to provide some positive frames of reference about a stand-up brother or a stand-up sister. Also in the Spotlight section, I try to alternate genders. So like 1 week I do a brother, 1 week I do a sister. Since I did a sister last week, I'm doing a brother this week, spotlighting brother this week. And not for nothing, your brother, Halsey Allen, I created the way for spotlighting. Because before I added the Spotlight section to my podcast, the Narrative Podcast, nobody was spotlighting anybody. So, I just got to put that in the atmosphere. So the spotlight is basically spotlighting our people doing well. And it seems to have worked because so many people are spotlighting people now. Now every time you go to watch somebody's interview, they congratulating somebody, they giving somebody the spotlight. This week on such and such show, we'll be spotlighting. Nobody was doing that before I started doing that. So, even if they don't come out right out and say, like, I know I caused a tidal wave with it because so many people just, incorporated little nuances and stuff I say on here and, the way I talk and deliver certain lines, like, I can tell who listens to me, so they just, like, leaving a trail of breadcrumbs that they're digging what I'm doing, so it's all good. I'm not here for the recognition. I'm here for my people. But, yeah, your brother paved the way for spotlighting, so, just got to put it out there.
You are now listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
In a real way. All right. So, the whole purpose of spotlighting is just uplifting and edifying our people because we've been programmed and conditioned by the powers that be that's the only way we can acquire a bag online is like drag each other through the mud, talk bad about each other, hurl insults at each other, just take jabs and cheap shots. And not for nothing, we're the only people to do that. Like, you don't see, like, the Caucasian, like, people doing it, Asian people doing it, Spanish culture, they don't do it. Only we just, like, get messy online with each other, airing out dirty laundry and taking jabs at each other. But like I said, I put out that positive vibe in the atmosphere and it's caught on. So I'm seeing a resurgence of people, using their platforms to speak highly of brothers and sisters, even brothers and sisters that they don't personally like. And the thing about this liberation movement, like, we don't gotta like each other, but we need to once and for all realize, we are the ones being attacked and we gotta unite. We don't have to be beer drinking buddies, but we definitely need to start respecting each other more. And if we got disagreements, we don't like a brother or sister what they said, we need to try to arrange a face-to-face meet up and talk about it, or get a hold of some people, because at the end of the day, BS, like the old saying goes, or at least the old saying goes from my neck of the woods, BS ain't about nothing. So, like, half of the squabbles online within our community is just some old BS, and BS ain't about nothing. So, yeah. But anyway, now that you know what the Spotlight section is all about, on to the Spotlight section of the Narrator Podcast. Today's Spotlight, or this week's Spotlight, because I only do it one time a week. The person that will be occupying the Spotlight this week on the Narrator Podcast is a brother by the name of Corey L. Nettles. He's the founder and managing director at a company called Generation Growth Capital. This company teaches, basically teaches you how to build wealth. They provide financial services, but that's not why I'm giving him the spotlight. I'm giving him the spotlight for, his charitable contributions to our community. He's the head chair on several different nonprofit organizations that help our people, but the one that I'm giving him the spotlight for is the Black Arts MKE in Wisconsin. This is a cultural program geared towards our people, young original men and young original women. It's geared towards providing at-risk young ladies and young men positive trajectory path, teaching them all the positive skills they need to know in life, such as digital literacy, such as helping them with homework, middle school and high school, in college, and other cultural programs. Also, they have hip hop themed programs, incorporating the music, the lyrics, and all that. They're teaching all kinds of diverse skills. You can go to the website and see for yourself all the things they have to offer for that particular program. So for the MKE site, is go to www.marketcenter.org, or is this the right one? I think that's their performing arts program. Let me see. No, that's not the right one. Okay, this is the right one. All right. It's www.blackartsmke.org. And their physical address is 929 Water Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202. Telephone number 414-273-3635, extension number 400. They have a contact us section, so you get the contact us button if you want to ask a specific question, if you want to donate or know more about the programs that they have for the youth, if you're in the Milwaukee area. So basically, the program also encourages and teaches the performing arts, so music, acting, plays, dancing, have outreach programs, master classes. They teach performing arts for the children. They also help with casting calls. So if they ever want to transition and become professional, actors or actresses in Hollywood, they can assist with that. But that's what the brother is getting the spotlight here on the Narrative podcast for his involvement in the Black Arts MKE involvement. So let's put them together. A Warm Narrative podcast round of applause for our brother, Corey L. Nettles. Oh, did I give the physical address? I think I skimmed over that. What's the physical address? If you're ever in the Milwaukee area, you want to check it out for yourself. Oh, yeah, I did say that. No, never mind. I did say it. All right, just moving quicker than normal today. All right, now for the next section of the Narrative podcast, which is my health and wellness section. And my health and wellness section is how it sounds. It's about health and wellness. So today on the health and wellness section of the Narrator podcast, or basically I'll be teaching you, going a little too fast, gotta slow it down, okay. So I'll be talking to, in this section, I deliver health and wellness tips. I promote all body health and wellness, so like mental tips, physically, mentally, and spiritually. So, things that keep you healthy in all those areas. And why all those areas? Because all those areas are the areas where our people, original people, are struggling with. And why are we struggling with those? Because we are directly being attacked in all them areas. On the physical side, they put things in our food, water, that physically harm us, things in the air that they're putting in our communities, daily products that you use every single day that harm melanated people. And then I already told you the mental game that they're playing, how they're manipulating this media, how they're warping and twisting our minds with the media. So we got to stay in good mental health. And then also spiritually, they're attacking us spiritually as well. Like, look how they have corrupted religion and other spiritual practices. So that's the tips I'll be giving you in the Narrator podcast. And then I also want to make a disclaimer. Now, my podcast is for anybody from any background with any belief or value system to listen to and participate in. But just know this, all this content, my niche, my target listening audience is my people, original people, because we need it the most. We're the most attacked people. We're the most devalued people on the planet. And we can argue and debate about it if you want to with me, but there's not nobody that had it worse than our people, period, on the planet. Nobody comparable to how we have suffered as a people. So we need it the most. And, all my content is, geared towards my people, to uplift and edify my people, to enlighten and educate my people as well. But like I said, you're more than welcome if you're outside of our community to listen and keep an open mind and learn what you can learn from my content. But all my content is directly aimed at my people. And especially here in the health and wellness section. So, like, you can utilize whatever information from my podcast that you want to, but this section right here, the health and wellness section, like, that's where we're different. It's just life. Like, everybody's different from everybody. Things that, you embrace culturally, will hurt me if I try to do it your way culturally. If I try to, eat your diet, it'll be harmful to me. If I try to, believe in your religion, it would be harmful towards me. If I, we all have different, mentally, like just cultural, we all have different emotional and mental triggers. So it's just a cultural thing. So it's nothing personal, but, we're not all the same. We're different. So, we got to respect the differences. But, yeah, like I said, all this content is aimed towards my people. You can apply it if you want to apply it, but, just saying, especially in this section, you might not be able to, because we all have a unique genetic makeup and different constitutions, mentally, physically, and spiritually. So what works in one culture for that group of people might not work for another group of people. But anyway, now that you know what the health and wellness section of the Narrator podcast is all about, here we go, diving in. Health and wellness section of the Narrator podcast. Today's health and wellness tips for the Narrator podcast is the health benefits of currants. Now, currants, they're like plant name, Ribis nigra. They come in two varieties. They come in the red and the black variety. I'll be talking more about the black. The only thing the red variety has that the black variety doesn't is like it's richer in like iron, I believe, and it's used for energy, to boost your energy if you're feeling sluggish. That's the purpose of the red currant. But the black currant, rich in anthocyanins, polyphenols, rich in vitamin C, rich in manganese, rich in potassium, rich in calcium, have anti-inflammatory properties, good for your cardiovascular system, and improves blood flow. They have anti-cancerous properties, lowers and regulates blood pressure and glucose, and it fortifies the immune system. So essentially, currants are a superfood. It's a highly sustainable food source. You can find them in pretty much every corner of the globe, like everywhere, but they're prominently dominant in America, Asia, and like I think New Zealand, where you see like, in abundance of currants. So yeah, that's it for the health and wellness tip of the day. Oh, I knew I forgot to do something. So like I said, the health and wellness tips that I give on here is like mentally, physically, spiritually. So like I just read, on the physical side of it, it'd be a health benefit of a fruit, vegetable, plant, herb extract, elixir that you can ingest or apply topically to improve your overall physical health. Some type of physical exercise you can do to, improve your health. On the mental side of it, I give you mental health tips, how to stay in good mental health, such as like, mindful breathing, meditating, doing the shadow work, identifying how to identify your emotions, things of that nature. On the spiritual side of it, spiritual practices, praying, meditating, and other spiritual practices as well. And then for a curveball, every once in a blue moon, I'll talk about divine law, quantum law, things of that nature. Esoteric law of attraction type stuff sometimes for a curveball. But that'll conclude this section, the health and wellness section here today on the Narrator podcast, and on to the next section. So this section is a newly added section just for this month, because as we know, it is officially Black History Month. So I got a Black History fact for you today. So this week's Black History fact here on the Narrator podcast, I'm going to be talking to you about Allenstown, California. So it was established in 1908 by a brother named Allensworth. So he was a brother. He wore multiple hats. He was a colonel in the U.S. military. He was also an ordained minister, theologian in the Christian faith. So he was born into slavery in Kentucky, but he escaped by joining the 44th Regiment of Volunteers in Illinois as a Union soldier. After his tour ended, he became an ordained Baptist minister. He was also a teacher. He led several churches all throughout the territory. He got appointed a chaplain in the U.S. Army in 1886. And I'm just giving you the condensed version, for my time limit. So it's more like extensive than that. All the stuff he did, way more extensive. But I'm just giving you the highlights. He became a chaplain to the Buffalo Soldiers Unit. If you don't know who the Buffalo Soldiers is, please do your due diligence on that. I don't got time to break it down who they were. In the West. He also was an activist and advocate and public speaker. He focused primarily on motivating the youth with lectures. He had several lectures. Among his lectures, most iconic were 5 manly virtues exemplified, the battle of life and how to fight, and character and how to read it. So then in 1908, like I said, in 1908, his biggest accomplishment was founding the town of Allenstown, California. He did this with the assistance of a gentleman by the name of William Alexander Payne and a committee comprised up of, just local sharecroppers or whatever. So the town of Allensworth was bustling and flourishing. They had schools, bakeries, clothing shops, and their agricultural scene was unmatched. There was selling out everything, like their produce and livestock was the best in the state of California at the time. And they even had their own legendary hotel, the Allensworth Hotel. Unfortunately, this made them folks mad, and they poisoned the town drinking supply. So they poisoned that. They was poisoning their livestock, and then the complete town went under when they put the railway right through town. And so after that, Allenstown folded. But that was just a brief little Black History fact snippet for this week. Rest in power, brother Allensworth. So we had several towns. I think I'm gonna do a couple more towns, pretty much, for the majority of this month, as we had so many flourishing townships. So I'm gonna probably be focusing on our townships that we had rather than actual people and inventions. So that's just a spoiler alert for the Black History facts, what they're going to be. All right. And now for my next section here on the Narrative Podcast, my speaking point section. In this section, what I'm doing is just bringing you guys commentary on current events, things that's happening either worldwide or, specifically within our community. And the purpose of me doing that is basically to, control the narrative. Because like I said, the media is always warping the narrative. They manipulate the media to have us looking and sounding crazy. So this is me just, telling whatever is going on in the world or in our world from, our perspective, through our eyes, and, just our thoughts, like, representing us rather than, having the powers that be put their little 2 cents on whatever. But anyway, on with the on-ski. First thing I want to touch on, so 6 police officers in Mississippi have been charged or have pled guilty to the charge of the torture and abuse of 2 brothers. A brother named by the name of Michael Corey Jenkins and Eddie Teller Parker. So basically, they harassed these brothers. They put a gun in one of the brothers' mouth and shot him. Like, thank goodness it just went out the side of his cheek, and it didn't go out of the back of his head. So I guess it wasn't his time yet. But they was torturing these brothers. Of course, it was captured on film, and they was beating them and even try to sodomize one of them, and just horrendously violating, man. Now it's not Mississippi, do we even really got to say it? Do we even really got to say it? Why they did that? Yes, in this day and age, that type of stuff still goes on. You bet it does, especially down south. So if you didn't know, the police are a gang. And the name of their gang was called the Goon Squad. And guess who, they like to mess with? Obviously. So these sick individuals are, fitting to get judgment based on their egregious acts. My opinion, jail is too good for them. Being unalived is too good for them. They need to suffer for all the days of their natural born life. They need to rot and fester and just not even be granted the dignity to just, leave their physical shells. So these creep bags, Kristen Draymond, Hunter Edward, Beth McAlpin, Jeffrey Middleton, Daniel Opdyke, Jeff and Josh Hartfield. Those are the names of the officers that, did that to them brothers. And, court room footage is surfacing. They don't look at all remorseful. We'll see how that goes. I think we all seen this movie before, though. So it's You know, if we would have did something like that to a police officer, or somebody from our community would have did something like that to a police officer, they wouldn't even make it to the police station. They wouldn't make it to the police station. Trust and believe that. That's all I want to talk about that particular situation. The next two situations I'm going to be talking about is in the entertainment industry. I'm going to loop them together. My main speaking point is unity because it's about doggone time. And I don't consider it gossip because it's something pointed and relevant. Like I said, I don't engage or promote gossip. This is some real ish that needs to be addressed, and these brothers are addressing it and, you know, handling the situation accordingly, in my opinion. So the first situation is comedian Corey Holcomb. You know, he's just recently unleashed the dragon on DJ Vlad. You know, he's super duper opinionated. You know, comedian, he don't hold back. But essentially what happened with that situation is, you know, it was seen kind of trivial, like basically DJ Vlad called him a liar on his platform, and then he went on his platform, the 5150 show, retaliated against DJ Vlad. So, you know, he found the right one. Like, Corey is the king of petty, so if he wants to be petty, he found the right one. And so, like I already said all the time about that guy's platform, I don't like giving him publicity by saying his name, but he stays like causing conflict and confusion within our community, manipulating things, like manipulating our people into, you know, incriminating themselves, manipulating their images and their likenesses to you know, basically sell his brand. He says like the most egregious, inflammatory things he can possibly say, and then he tries to act all clueless, like he didn't know what he was doing, like, oh, I'm just a white boy, you know, hey, I don't know no better. Like, he tries to deflect it like that, like he doesn't know any better, and he knows exactly what he's doing. And so this most recent attempt is basically he tried to, you know, try to basically turn comedian, what is that brother's name? I forgot it. Not that he's a name to forget, but I just couldn't think of what in that moment. Ari Spears. So Vlad was interviewing Ari Spears, and he asked him some questions about Corey Holcomb, and it didn't go the way he thought it would go the way. He tried to act like he didn't know, you know, what he was doing, because if you didn't know, Ari Spears was a special guest host on his show, and his former co-host assaulted Ari Spears on camera, and it went viral during a live edition. So that's a bad thing about going live on podcasts, because you don't never know what's going to happen. So you can't edit it out like they was live when this happened, but essentially, like, Ari Spears was inebriated, and he was like goating his former co-host Zoe Williams, and he had been given several warnings to just, you know, move forward. And I don't like how you're playing with me. I don't like that. Just, you know, and he didn't, and well, he got the pause put on him on camera. So I don't like it when we fight. And again, like I don't promote, endorse, or advocate, gossip. I'm just telling you, just framing it up to put it in full perspective of how diabolical this guy is in manipulating conflict within our community. So basically, they've moved forward. Corey Aries and Zoe Williams, they've all moved forward from that situation. They said their piece. They said they don't got issues with each other. But he tried to spin the narrative and tried to make him chime in on Corey Holcomb and try to basically, reignite an old beef. And he tried to pretend like he didn't know what he was doing, like he always does. He said he has used his platform to say anti-inflammatory remarks against our beloved leader, Honorable Louis Maris Farrakhan, his predecessor, Elijah Muhammad. He's also said anti-inflammatory things about, Martin Luther King. Most recently, he just said something about Taraji P. Henson, and he's just one of those, white people that don't know how to stay out of our business. Like, he thinks because he's married to a sister, like, he could just say whatever he wants to say and insert his opinion into, situations. You can't have an opinion on our culture. You're a talk show host, you ask questions, and if the people feel like talking about whatever the subject is, they'll say something. You don't get to interject your opinions and your thoughts on our issues. And that's what's wrong with all these culture vultures. They think they got the license to have an opinion about, whatever we're going through. You don't say nothing. You just answer the questions and shut your mouth and keep it pushing. But this dude, he's super notorious for doing that. I don't know why brothers and sisters continue to keep going up to this guy's show and, supporting him, giving him interviews. A few of them get paid, rapper Boozy Badass, is his biggest draw. He says he gets paid for his Vlad interviews. It's 50 to 60 racks every time he goes over there, or I ain't counting his pockets, but whatever he's getting for, the dude's getting damn near $1 billion every time you go on the show, and he's just giving you expense account money. He's giving you expense account money. He's giving you rewards off of one of his credit cards. That's how he's paying all his guests. He ain't letting them name their price. He's giving them cash back rewards from his business account. That's how he's paying his guests, the ones that he's paying them. He's making damn near $1 billion every time they go up there on his show. And so that was with the beef. And basically, Ari Spears didn't take the bait. He just deflected it. He just said, I don't want to talk about that because they had legal issues, about the on-air altercation. And he didn't even, he didn't take the bait. He was stone-faced, he couldn't get a read on him after he asked him about Corey Holcomb. He was just nah, I'm not talking about that. Next. And that's how we should all do every time they get on, dudes shows with the mentality that he got. They just sit up there and intentionally cause, confusion and havoc and try to stir the pot and try to turn people against each other. The next one is Charleston White and Adam 22. He basically called, he was on camera, he called Adam 22 a penis sucker. He said, he seen him somewhere, he said, "Hey, what's up, penis sucker?" He didn't say penis, he said the C word, but I try to keep it as clean as possible. And, he did a video and he called him some, racial slurs. He said he don't like them. He don't like white boys like him. He called him a pink toe and a honky and, all kinds of other racial stuff. Now that part I don't dig, like most, I just tell you the truth, I don't really go to look at his content. I just follow a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff I follows him. Same thing with Vlad, like a lot of things I follow, his platform too. And that's the only way I see it, because I'm not subscribed to No Jumper, and I don't be checking for No Jumper, but, I don't be checking I'm not subscribed to Vlad TV either, but I don't be checking for it, but just giving you full context, like stuff I follows that, and it pops up in my feed. That's the only way I see it. But Adam No Jumper, he's another one that don't know to just shut up and quit trying to insert your opinion, and then they say something slick out the side of their neck. They try to act like all clueless, like they don't know what they're talking about. He said something about Tupac and all kinds of other people in the entertainment industry. Like, bro, you don't get an opinion. You don't get to insert your opinion in our matters. You when you're outside of somebody's culture, you ask the person within the culture how they feel, what they think, but you keep your mouth shut. You don't get to have an opinion about nothing we're going through, nothing we're doing. So normally I also don't, follow Charleston White, because the brother, I will say this about the brother. When he's doing it for, when he done had a slow media week. When Charleston White done had a slow media week, he'll just start talking out the side of his neck about anything and turning up and calling people out. So he knows how to get them clicks and views. So Adam 22, he found the right one, because he knows how to play that game too. And he's become quite good at manipulating the media. So like I said, I can't stamp the racist name calling that he was calling Adam to, but I stamped his energy behind it. I stamped the energy behind it about him telling him to shut his mouth and letting him know to his face he don't like him, and to watch his mouth, shut his mouth talking, and if you ain't got no money for me, you ain't got nothing for me, basically. So I support his energy behind his, his comments. I don't support the comments, all those racial slurs, but I'm pretty sure he's called black people way worse than what Charleston White has called him. But Adam 22, he's real slick and greasy too. So he got his comeuppance. He got his comeuppance, and good for both of those brothers. They putting their foot down and letting them know, we ain't playing that. I wish more entertainers would take Corey and Charleston's stance when these dudes be trying it, because they know them, that they don't be checking them. Start checking these dudes and they'll quit doing it. They'll stop doing this funny style stuff. Next thing I want to touch on, apparently there is a looming migrant crisis going on in New York. Like migrants are like, it's really nationwide. The influx of migrants all over the country, but especially in New York. Now, you know it's bad because New York is basically the melting pot. It's where all the immigrants come off the boat when they come over here. New York, everybody knows that. That's common knowledge. But these new immigrants coming over here are causing problems. They are harassing native people to, the island of New York, the boroughs and everything. They are, messing with children, committing crimes, stealing, scamming, just basically being menaces, messing with the police, like assaulting and attacking the police, but ain't nobody saying nothing to them because they're migrants because of this new president we got, just like, his stance on like welcome them, but they're not doing nothing people native to this land, giving people native here any resources. He wouldn't gave $1 billion to the Ukraine to solve their issues, and we got issues. We still got people living here, right here in the States, that still have not fully financially recovered from that thing when we was cooped up in the house for 3 months, still in the red with their finances. And he's sitting up there giving away free everything to all these migrants. And they're causing all these problems. You say something though, then you're xenophobic, in this era, when you just tell the truth in the era of the lies. So, yeah, we know the orange guy, say what you want about, he didn't tolerate that. So we laughed at him when he said, I'm building a wall. Now everything that's going on got everybody rethinking about, maybe a wall's not such a bad idea. Because they ain't coming here, they disrespecting. Respecting with a K, not disrespecting, they disrespecting. They disrespectful. These new wave of migrants. They disrespectful. But meanwhile, original people, the people who built this country, we bat an eyelash. And the National Guards is coming for us. Last thing I want to touch on is the Super Bowl. I've said this in the past. I got to say it again because it's coming up again. The Super Bowl and really just all sports. Championships. I ain't going to say sports in general. I mean like big, at the end of the year game, the championships, the big, it's a distraction. The big media blitz type sports, it's a distraction. Distract the American people from our issues. We're tuned in to that television and pressing matters aren't getting addressed because we're worried about the big game. Now, what happened last year when everybody was focused on the Super Bowl? Last year, America inserted itself into the Ukraine war. We got involved in it. So what's going on this year? Why the Super Bowl's going on? Well, they're putting stuff in the food. They're paying farmers to burn crops of organic, natural foods that can heal your body without medication. Then they're cutting programs that will help common people. They're cutting them left and right, dousing 86 in programs that could help the average person sustain themselves financially. They're cutting those off. Then we got the general election. And then, of course, within our community, we still got the good old systemic racism. We still got the plight with the police, law enforcement. We still got our plight with, inclusion, fair equal stand on everything. Still got that going on. But we got time to watch the Super Bowl. Like we literally, about to go into war with China. But we got time to watch the Super Bowl. I'm just saying, I don't want to be like, life shouldn't be all gloom and doom. Sports are fun, but we shouldn't get short-sighted and sucked in. We should basically, keep our head on swivel and be attentive and, pay attention to what's going on around us. So it's not a slight against sports, any athletes. Definitely have a good time. If you're invited to a Super Bowl party, if you're going to the actual Super Bowl itself, go have a good time, enjoy yourself. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying pay attention. Because the robbery's fitting to happen. Pay attention. That's all I'm saying. That's it for the speaking point. Now I'm going to end this thing with my final thought or final word of the day. My final thought or final word of the day is a wise word of wisdom, a gem, a pearl of wisdom, some knowledge, a jewel, whatever you want to call it, something to just ponder and think about, something to cause you to think critically. If you can use it, cool. Then the message is for you. If you can't, then if it don't apply, let it fly. But today's final thought of the day is learn. Oh yeah, I forgot to say. So sometimes it's final thought is when it's like a phrase or something I commonly say, or sometimes, when it's just a word, one thing, but means a whole lot, then it's final word. And so this week is his final word because it's just one word that comes to mind. Learn. Final word today is learn. Never miss an opportunity to learn, especially mistakes, because mistakes are the best teachers, because we always want something good. We always, we want it to be all sunshine and roses, all the time. Everybody wants to experience winning. Everybody wants to be a winner. But nobody ever wants to go through it. Let me see. Yeah, Bruce Lee had a quote in a movie called I believe it was called Long Street. And in the movie, the guy had got beaten up. He got jumped, and he was training him, and he wasn't getting it because he's all about enlightenment. He wants to teach you. He wants to take you on a journey. You don't want to just that was his way of teaching, like, the mind and the body got to be, it's a spiritual thing. And so in this movie, so there's a training scene, guy's training, I forget the actor's name, Google it, IMB it, whatever you want to do. But basically, Bruce Lee's like, everybody wants to win, but they don't want to lose. And then, I ain't going to do the direct quote, but basically he said, you have to learn how to master the art of dying. So when tomorrow comes, you'll be ready for whatever comes. So he's preparing to die because he wants to just win and beat all these guys that have been beating him up. But basically that's what I'm saying. And what my final thought of the day is to learn. Learn in your times of darkness. Learn in your times of uncertainty when you feel like nothing's going right. Nothing's working in your favor. You don't have any friends. People are turning against you. Like every time you turn around, a failure is happening. Something you're failing at. But in those situations, learn. Sometimes you can't do nothing. Like there's nothing you can do, but whatever is happening in your life, it's going to happen regardless. But learn from it. Look for a way to learn from all your experiences in life. Positive and negative, but especially the negative experiences. And if you sit down and take notes and chart the behavior and don't just, lose your head and wonder why that keeps happening, that pattern keeps on repeating itself because you're not learning from it. Whether it's finances, whether it's a relationship, whether it's professional, owning your own business or working for somebody else, you have to look for teachable moments. You have to always learn from whatever happens to you. Like stuff happens in life, you can't control the things that do happen in life, but you can control how you handle the stuff that happens to you in life. You got to learn from it. So that's my final word of the day. That's it and that's all. This episode of the Narrative Podcast is officially a wrap. Stay tuned next week for another full episode of the Narrative Podcast. Download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast wherever you get your podcast information from. The best way to, not miss an episode of the Narrative Podcast is to follow me on YouTube. I'm Halsey Allen on YouTube. Click that subscription button and the notification bell, and you will be alerted every time an upload of the Narrative Podcast premieres, as well as X, formerly Twitter, because this platform that I'm on broadcasts to Twitter and X. Every time I upload an episode, it goes, very automatically without me having to manually upload it myself. It just does it automatically. So, YouTube or X is the best way to stay in the loop for the Narrative Podcast episodes. I broadcast 2 times a week. Once during the weekday. I never know what days during the weekday that I'm have available to do it. So, continuously listen wherever you get your podcast information from so you don't miss an episode. But like I said, YouTube and X is the best way to go for that. But without fail, every single weekend for sure. I always upload every single weekend. I just recently started doing weekdays. But download this episode and our previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast. The weekday format's a little different from the weekends. I have less sections. It's just articles and commentary. That's the only difference between the two. I used to go live on weekdays, but this platform that I'm on has recently done away with the live function. So it's no more live, but I still do it during the weekdays. Also, I've written a book of poetry titled The Black Card. The Black Card is available on poetizer.com. And to support the Black Card, go to poetizer.com. They have a virtual bookstore. Go purchase the Black Card. The Black Card is a 30-page book of poetry written by me. It's an all-encompassing look at us as a people. It's basically, the how-to, a survival guide. Everything we experience as a culture. So, go to poetizer.com and get your copy of the Black Card. Go get the Black Card today, or get your Black Card revoked. Also, I write poetry. I have my own personal poetry blog on blogger.com. The address is www.mrhallziesblogs.com. It's poetry that I spontaneously write in the moment. I don't contemplate on the title or the content of the poem. It's just like, spontaneous in the moment, just whatever I'm thinking about at that second. And I write it. I just upload it and put it online. I got over 300 pieces. I haven't written a brand new one in a minute. I'm going to start, doing that again. I've been so preoccupied with the podcast, I kind of stopped that. I do it in spurts though, so check those out on blogger.com. The name of my blog is called hallziespoetrycorner at www.mrhallziesblogs.com on blogger.com. The way you support that is share the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner across all platforms. And that'll help me tremendously. And I'll funnel all that back to this platform and, keep building and building like that. But go support Hallzies Poetry Corner. So that's it and that's all. Thank you all for listening to this episode of the Narrative Podcast. I'll be back, this week and this weekend with 2 new episodes of the Narrative Podcast. So that's a wrap. I'm Halsey Allen, and I'm changing the narrative 1 episode at a time. I'm asking you to become a narrator and join me by changing the narrative as well. While I'm changing the narrative 1 episode at a time, you can become a narrator and change the narrative 1 social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen and the Narrative Podcast signing off, and it's like that. Make it burn.
listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.